Alright, this is my Suzuki SX4, and I'm going to change the rear brake pads. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the master cylinder, and I'm going to basically put some paper towels in here. Guys bleed them and all this other stuff. This is how I like to do it. That way, when I'm pushing the pressure back, it's not going to spill over, and I've released the pressure so the brake pistons can actually push themselves back. So, I'm just going to put the hood down. Alright, next I'm going to raise up the Suzuki. Should probably be good. And that is the inner tie rod. We're going to be replacing that next, but let's do the brake shoes first. Alright, one of the main things I like to do is these are the rear brake pads. I like always putting some disc brake quiet. It's almost like spray paint. And I just give it a quick thin coat. Clear that nozzle out. And by the time we're ready, that will be dry. Alright, rear. Okay. 19mm to get the wheel nuts off. Need me? What's up, Sin?
Sorry, I didn't see the signs.
What's up? What's up?
I'll do it, come on.
Alright, I just like to leave one nut on because these things tend to rust. I always like to use a little mallet. Quick hit. This way, this will keep the tire from flying across the room. Now, I don't think these were going to be that bad, but when I brought it to my friend to inspect, he said the inner pads were worn. Kind of hard to see. But we'll take this all apart just to make sure. You got 12mm on the back. You can see some salt buildup from the winter. And I love this Stanley record. This thing gets some good torque if you need it. I like how it extends all the way out and all the way in. I usually put the air ratchet on this to make it a little bit quicker, but get the general idea. And this will lift right off for some inspection. Ooh, a nice little spider sitting there. Alright. So that is your spring that's going to hold the tension down. I always like having a hook here. Probably don't need one. I'll hook that back and a spring to keep this out of the way. We'll use two of them. There. Okay, then this, you can see behind it, but you got some bolts here that's going to hold all that in. But today, I think I'm just going to pry these brake pads out real quick. And this side looks really good. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to change this side. Yeah, those look pretty good. These aren't too bad. They're kind of stiff though. You want to make sure these pins ride pretty good. But since we're here, let's pry them out. And these look real good. There's some gunk in there. We'll get all that cleaned up. Let's make sure your rails are nice and clean. Free of dust. Like I said, compare this to a new one. I mean, you can tell those are pretty much brand new still. So we'll put those back on. And I look for any issues with that piston, but it looks like you can tell the ring's coming out a little bit, so we just I like doing this. I just put a little bit of grease here. Wipe off the excess, but what that's going to do is make that ride along that rail pretty good. Like I said, that all looks good, so we're not going to mess around with it. I think he probably meant the other side. we are going to keep a very close eye on this side. Oh, that's what I was going to do. These pins should come out nice and easy, and they are not. That's how it's supposed to work. Alright, so they're supposed to move free like this without that seal breaking. I'm looking at it, the seal looks like it's intact. So I don't know why that seemed like it was so stiff. But anyway, they should move freely in and out like this. And I siliconed them last time I had them out, but they seem good now. Alright, let's put that back together. And we're going to keep a good eye on that. Bolts back on. Twisting a little bit. I don't like when that happens. So when it starts twisting, let's put a little crescent wrench on there. You don't want that spinning too much. This is where all right. That still looks a little too twisted for me. Alright, so that looks untwisted. All right. Twist that on pretty good. Okay, that's nice and tight. I'll put that back together. We'll flip over to the other side. Alright, get rid of some of that road salt. Just a quick spin in place. Go to the other side, see what's going on there. Alright, so a buddy of mine told me that it wouldn't pass inspection because the brake pad was wearing uneven on this piston. Or brake caliper rather. Light. Compressor shut off. And I like to use a little bit of speed. And this just makes things go so much faster, quicker and easier. As long as you got room, get in there. Get an extension piece. this out real quick. That big difference you'll see immediately. That piston's out a lot more. I'll push that back, but see these pins are really loose, which is good. That's what you want. And that pad is really worn. You can see the two of them. So he was absolutely right. That has to be replaced. You want to make sure you clean all the gunk off these rails. You want to make sure the brakes glide on this. And I'll add a little bit of grease on there. Next thing, we want to push that piston in. What we're going to be using, I believe might be a 7 or smaller. Nope. So that's the size of the piston. That's a size 4 with this kit. And I absolutely love this. And like I said, I had undone the cap on the master cylinder. So I'm going to push this back. Make sure there's no debris, but that looks pretty clean. So basically you are just pushing that piston in. Looks a little tight there. Give it one small squirt of WD-40. So as I'm turning this, it glides a little bit easier and it's not pulling that boot with it. See how nice and quick that goes in. Alright, that's all there is to it. Put a little crescent wrench on that. That comes right out. I love this thing. You can tell I've had it for a while. Super easy to use. It's got a nice storage case. Put the link for that below. Alright, so that's that. Alright, let's put the new pads on. Since this one didn't have any wear ones, I guess these alert you to when you're getting close, they'll squeal. I believe I want these going on the inside on here. I just like to make sure it's got enough clearance, which it will. So always make sure you got enough clearance so it's not going to be hitting your piston. And if you're putting on this side, it'd actually be hitting the inside of your rim sometimes, but not all the time. All right. And I like putting a little bit of grease just on the rail part. Make sure these things move how they're supposed to. Wipe off the excess. You just want a little bit on there. Obviously you don't want that getting onto your brakes themselves, but a little bit of grease will make them glide really nice on. Okay, so that's that one. Just enough on the rails so those will glide. That got hung up. It's just regular bearing grease. Not too much, just enough. And obviously I inspected a rotor, so there's no deep grooves, there's no ridges on it, so we're going to keep that. And it just goes back on like so. Put the bolts on. Just put your hand tight and put the wrench. So we'll just hold this one. Alright, that's that side. So we need an extension on this side. I think this is about 13 millimeter, but this is the last one. Just make sure that this is nice and tight. That one's good. I know this one's gonna be tight, but okay, that one's tight as well. That's all you need. Put the tire back on. That's how you change your brake shoes in about 10 minutes.